And welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. How is everybody today? It's Friday. You working stiffs made it through another week, and we have another game. We had that mini bye, and a lot of changes have happened since the last game, last Thanksgiving, as we know. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the firing of Flus, and then we'll get into the San Francisco game. But we will get into that. Okay, so let's just finish up. First, I've got. I want to mention there are some viewers that are on vacation and they're in Asia and they're watching me. Is that cool? So thank you. They take me on vacation with them. You rock. And then another call out, which only he'll know. Nathan, sorry, I should have known. I had it mixed up. I know, I'm not surprised you're the one that knew that I had this show because you've always been one of my favorites. Thank you, Nathan. You rock. Okay, so. And a really cool thing I want to call out, Andrew Billings was nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award by his team, so that's really cool. Unfortunately, we know Andrew is on injured reserve and will not return player-wise, and a little tidbit, I did mention this earlier in the season, but I'll do it again. The Walter Payton Award was established it wasn't the Walter Payton Award. It was the Man of the Year Award, and it was established in 1970. And in 1999, they renamed it after Walter, after he had passed away. So in 99, they renamed it the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, which is... It's for players who show their excellence on and off the field, how they contribute to the community, how they give themselves endlessly to them besides playing football, and they're good teammates. So that's pretty cool. And Walter actually won it in his third year. 1977. He won that award. So it's kind of cool, right? So congratulations, Andrew. Really cool. And boy, I would love it for you to win it. But every team, I don't know if you know, they nominate, all 32 teams nominate a player on their team for that. So that's cool, isn't it? So congratulations again. So let's just finish up the Flus firing, which we all know came way too late, but it happened. We know it happened. So I'm just going to talk about his record. He had a 14-32 record in 3 years after being hired on January 22nd, 2022. And then days later is when Ryan Poles was hired. So Poles did not hire Flus, which is interesting. That is totally ass backwards. The Bears did that ass backwards, and look what it did. It bit him in the ass. So Flus has had one of the 3 worst winning percentages out of all the coaches we've had. His winning percentages was .304 in 46 games. That was the 3rd worst in franchise history, behind John Fox. That was a miserable mistake. And his was .292 winning, and Abe Gibron, which unless you've been like me and a few other people out there that I know you've been watching since the 70s, Abe Gibron did not have a good record. His percentage was 2.74. So Flus is 2 for 14 in the NFC North. That's disgusting. So, you know what? He shouldn't have never even been brought back for the 2024 season. I really believe that, but I don't know who kept him. In my opinion, Warren is the one that wanted him fired, and I believe Warren wanted him fired sooner, and I think Poles fought for him. The Bears, when they were looking for coaches, they looked at 10 head coaches before they hired Flus. And this is what, so it's like, what? You know what? And that's what you came up with? Just terrible. But anyways, and these are Flus's records. In 2022, he was 3-14. In 23, he was 7-10. And in 2023, shoot, I didn't write what. Oh, yeah, they were 7-10. Duh, 2023, and and with winning the last 5 out of the 8 games in 23, that's why I think the Bears kept them. They thought, okay, things were turning around. Clear, they were saying that, and then now Poles has come out and said that he didn't want to bring them back last year in the 2023 season, which would make sense because he's not the one that hired him. But the McCaskey family said no. Okay. Well, and these are the few things that happened under Flus's watch. So last year, our D coordinator, Williams, who Flus he brought him in from Indianapolis, and he brought him in to run the defense, and he mysteriously resigned in week 3, if you remember, and the Bears offered very few explanations of what was going on. They first said it was personal, and then later the Tribune reported it was conduct unrelated reasons. Then, 2 months after that, the Bears fired their running back coach, Walker, who also was fired for not being a good person and doing something. I don't know. I swear to God, these two guys were probably looking at porn on the internet. And then he hires Getsy for the 2023 season. We know what happened there. They get rid of him at the end of the season. They hire Waldron, and then we fire him. The Bears are 4-8, and these are the games, in my opinion, that the Bears could and should have won. Clearly, earlier in the season, Colts 21-16. Flus screwed that game up. Washington, I don't even have to say that, should have lost. We lost 18-15, should have won that game, and that's when I believe he lost the defense for sure. Arizona, that was a blowout because we lost 29-9, and I think the players were just pissed after that Washington game and just so defeated. And then we lost to a very bad team, New England, 19-3. Again, the Bears atrocious. So then, of course, we fired Waldron. And then Green Bay, we should have won, 20-19. We know what he did for that game. Mismanaged the clock again. And then Minnesota, I don't have to. That was 30-27, another mismanaged opportunity for a win on Flus. And then, of course, the Detroit game, 23-20. We all know what happened, and that's why he got fucking finally fired. So listen to all those things. How many times do you hear all that stuff? All these guys getting fired during the season, contact. I can't say it. They weren't good people. Okay, how's that? It wasn't, so I mean, what are you doing, Flus? And I swear to God, I think Flus was in his own little delusional world. I swear to God. And after that Bears game, that Lions game, and we all know, you've all heard the rumors all week, what went on and how when they got into that locker room, the players were pissed. And now it's coming out, and Jalen Johnson led the pack, and he went after Flus and Poles and Warren, had to step in. Flus had to leave the locker room. And they were just had enough. And JJ said, "This is ridiculous. I've been with this organization." He just signed an extension, thank God, because now we know he can't go anywhere. But because if they hadn't signed him this year, I don't think he would have stayed with the Bears. Luckily, he signed a 4-year extension. But he's right. He said these losses are unacceptable, and they should never ever have happened. What? The people were not doing their job, and we are the laughing stock of the fucking National Football League. We were the laughing stock after the Washington game, right? So, and then Poles and Warren had a press conference a couple days ago, and they were talking about the search for the new head coach. And, Warren put on a pretty good show talking, but I'm going to tell you, he said this: I give you my word that we will find and hire the correct head coach for this organization to lead us to playoff wins and Super Bowl wins and mentor our quarterback. All right, we'll see. We will see, right? I'm holding you to it, Warren. I'm not. I've polls. I'm really on the bubble with him right now. He's kind of lost. I've lost confidence in him because I think he wanted to keep Flus. He says he didn't, but I really do think he did. And they had the same. They had the same agent, so there's something fishy there. So, but Flus is gone. Thank God. We just got to get rid of through the rest of the season. We don't know what's going to happen, but they did the right thing, and the Bears have never done that. The only time the Bears ever made a change, and I'm sure you heard this week, and it wasn't due to firing, was because of World War II. Mr. Hallis, Papa Hallis, had to go to war, and that's when they turned the team over to somebody else. That was the only time, and that was the only reason, because of World War II. So that's interesting. Okay, all right. So we're moving past Flus. We know what he did. Get the fuck out of town. We don't even want to see or hear you ever again. Him being hired as a head coach, I don't see it ever happening again, because he just could not make the correct and important decisions when it was and when it was time. And that last game was, everybody you heard talking about the Bears was like, that was just ridiculous. Okay, so that's it. My thoughts. There's no more to talk about. He's gone. I'm glad. Sure, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Shouldn't have brought him back, but they did. So let's just pray that. And I think, I've been really thinking about this. I said my choices were Mike Gravel. What's the guy? Kensington or something. He's the offensive coordinator for Washington, and then everybody wants Ben Johnson. And I've been going back and forth, back and forth. I like Mike Gravel because he's been a head coach, and that's what I want, is somebody who's got that experience. And the guy, Kensington, I can't think of his name, but in Washington, he was also the Arizona head coach. I like him, and then there's Ben Johnson. Now, between those two, I know Ben Johnson's got it going in Detroit, and they say, I do believe now we should hire a offensive head coach and then get a really good defensive coach, because we need an offensive coach who can mentor and teach Cabe. Cabe is the real deal. He just is young, and he has a lot to learn, like what happened in that Detroit game, the Detroit game, which is not his fault. I heard some people say he should have called the timeout, and then I heard many people say, whoa, do not blame your rookie quarterback. What did he do? He took you from the 1 yard all the way down to the 35-yard line, okay, and then got sacked because he had no chance. No, that's on the coaching staff, and it starts with the head coaches. I'm just saying. So that's my opinion on that. I would like one of those two guys, and then we'll go from there. But we'll see. But see, Ben Johnson, what worries me is he's never been a head coach. He's a great offensive coordinator, but that don't make him head coach material. So that's what I'm saying. Okay. Whoop! We'll get rid of that, and we'll start talking about San Francisco, okay, before I run out of time. So the Bears and San Francisco's have played 69 times, including 3 postseason games. The Bears have won 33, and the Niners have won 35, and they have 1 tie. So they're close. I'm just going to give you a few stats right now. Excuse me. I always give these. The points, the passing percentage of the Bears through these games, they're passing an average of 190 yards a game. That puts them 27th in the league. Terrible. San Francisco is passing an average of 232 yards, and that puts them 9th in the league. So they can pass the ball, that's for sure. Rush, of course, we're terrible again. We just cannot get this rush game going, and that's something we got to work on in the off season. We'll talk more about. I'm not going to waste a lot of time, but you know how I feel about the rush game. It is the quarterback's best friend, especially a rookie. So we're averaging 109 And that's mostly because of Cabe, and that puts us 23rd in the league, which isn't good. San Francisco, up until now, was averaging 139, and that puts them seventh. Now, their McCaffrey, who was their great, great, great running back, who came from Carolina to San Francisco a couple years ago in a great trade for San Francisco, he was hurt and missed a lot of games, and then he came back, and then he got hurt last week again, so he's out the rest of the season. So, I'm not really sure what that running game's going to look like now. So, yes, right now they're seventh in the league, but we'll see what happens Sunday, right? Points scored, we're averaging 20 points a game. Not good. That puts us 23rd in the league. But San Francisco's kind of behind us. They're averaging 22 a game, and that puts them 16th in the league. Points allowed by the defense. This is the only way. This is the only place we beat them. Our defense is allowing an average of 20 points per game. That puts them ninth in the league. And San Francisco's defense is giving up 24.6 points a game. That puts them 24th. They are really, really banged up. So some of these stats I'm going to give you, I just don't, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but San Francisco is really hurting, and we think we're bad. They're really hurting. So Cabe Williams right now has got 2,612 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. A very good ratio there. He's been sacked the most in the league, 49 times. Yeah, you heard me, 49. The next one behind him is C.J. Stroud with Texas, and he's been sacked 41 times. So that's ridiculous. And he has rushed for 378 yards. So I'm telling you, he's part of the reason, not our running backs. He's the one that's putting us up there. Purdy on the San Francisco quarterback has, and he hasn't played all 12 games. He's played 11, and he's got 2,707 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Not bad, but Cabe's got a better ratio. He's been sacked 22 times, and he rushed for 271 yards so far. Our leading running back, obviously, is Swift. He's got 704 yards. He should be close to 1,000 right now, because the good running backs, even average, are close to 1,000, and he's not. 704 with 5 touchdowns. Their leading rusher is Mason. 789 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. And then we're going to go to passing. Our wide receiver, Moore, is leading with 663 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. Rome, 543 with 1 touchdown. Clement, which I complain, I feel is very underused. He is a quarterback's best friend, and I really hope that Cabe and him can really start to build something together. I think that Cabe and Rome, number 15, our rookie, I think they're going to start being 1-2 punch and you put Clement in there, your tight end. You know what? I just wish they'd use him more. He's got 448 yards with 3 touchdowns. Allen, number 15, our wide receiver, has started to come on in the last couple games because he was hurt early on, and now he seems to be doing better. He's got 441 yards with 5 touchdowns. And Swift, who is our all-purpose, he's rushed for 704, and he's caught 313 yards receiving. Now, Swift, you say, well, why don't you like him? Because I think the Bears, see, between him and Johnson, number 23, Johnson is more of a power back, and Swift is more of a finesse back. And I just don't think they've been using him right, and now it don't matter because Johnson's probably not going to play. But let's talk about their leading receivers. Jenkins has 684 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. Kittle, their awesome tight end. Now, they use a tight end. He's got 649 yards receiving with 8 touchdowns. Debo has 531 yards with 1 touchdown. And I can't say this guy's name. Ayuk, A-I-Y-U-K, I don't know. And he's got 374. So Jenkins and Kittle are going to be the one to watch. But again, they're very banged up. I looked at their well, everyone's just been talking about it. That's why they're 5-7 and we're 4-8. And when was the last time you heard San Francisco had a losing season? And people I've seen, oh, they're going to fire their coach. They're not going to fire Shanahan. Are you kidding me? He's awesome. He's had devastating injuries, really good players on the injury report. And if you don't have your best players out there, it's hard to win. It just really is. Our defenses, our overall defense is rated 22nd, and San Francisco is rated 16th overall. We have 30 sacks to 28 sacks for San Francisco. We have 9 interceptions, 11 forced fumbles, and 10 fumble recoveries. San Francisco has 11 interceptions, 12 forced fumbles, and 5 recoveries. So we're pretty same there, but they're banged up. We're banged up. You know what? It's just it's gonna. I don't know what to expect from this game because as of today, now they flew, I believe, overnight, so they'll probably practice today. But as of today, these players did not play at all for 2 games, and it's a big concern that they won't play. Out 71, Bates, our O lineman. Number 22, Hicks, our D-back, who's really been in and out lately because he's been injured, and he has the one who's been playing mostly for Brisker, who has been out, who we desperately miss. Johnson, 23, has a concussion, has not practiced, and number 2, and Swift, none of them have practiced. They were all no practice. I'm worried about this a lot. I'm guessing Johnson probably won't play because of the concussion. Moore and Swift, I think you might see them. Moore for sure because he's pretty tough. But missing Hicks in our backfield is going to hurt again if he can't play because we're hurt back there. So we've got some major injuries. So this game is going to be, the injured against the injured. And, our teams are just not doing well. We're both in bad situations. It's in San Francisco. It's the later game. I'm not sure what's going to happen. So the Bears got to win. As I always say this, my threes: time of possession, turnover, and penalties. So important to win those. And penalties, they've got to get better. I thought that they were worse. Last time I looked, I think they were 10th in the league out of 32 teams. You shouldn't be 10th with the most penalties. And penalties start, in my opinion, at the head again. It's lack of discipline. And the penalties have been coming, the majority of them have been on offense, which has just been killing the Bears, as I say, week in and week out. You start to go, you got to plan for 1st and 10, you get a penalty, it's 1st and 20, whatever, then everything's thrown out the window, and now you got to try to get that first down. And penalties have just ruined the Bears, killing. And then the defense, the last few games have gotten some costly ones too. So we have to clean that up, Thomas Brown. Got to clean it up. So it's very, very important to keep those down. 5 or less is my rule. And I say to a lot of people, watch games and just see what penalties do. They're terrible. And teams like San Francisco and the Bears aren't good enough to come over to come back from penalties. They just shoot themselves in the foot. It happens all the time. There's a team out there, I don't know their record. Maybe they're 8-4, Baltimore. Now, everybody thinks Baltimore was supposed to go to the Super Bowl. But if you've seen them play this year, they're a team that is shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. The penalties have been terrible. They get these big plays, penalty back, they can't catch up, punt, blah, blah, blah. So they've lost many games because of that. So there's a good team who's killing themselves with penalties. They really, really defeat a team. And just, how would you like to be a running back that shoots off 15 yards and turns around and there's a yellow flag? Now it's 1st and 20. Not a first down, but 1st and 20 because they got to go backwards. Or a wide receiver that makes a great catch, turns around, penalty. You got to be pissed off about that, So come on, guys. And our offensive line, They haven't been terrible about that, but you know how banged up and hurt we've been all year. We went in with a suspect offensive line as it was, and then the penalties started. But I mean, excuse me, the injuries started, and I do believe Donnell Wright will be playing this week, and that's huge because he's played very well for us. We need, all of them in there. Jones, Jenkins, we need them all. We need the few good ones in there. We need them. So very important. Our offensive line. But okay, so we know what we have to do to win this game. But I want to talk about. Let me talk about this first, and then I'll get to my next thing. But yes, winning this game is going to count on because you got two teams very, very banged up. I think this is a winnable game, but then we're walking in with a whole new coaching staff. If you really think about it, Thomas Brown is our head coach. Chris Beatty is our offensive coordinator. And now Aaron Johnson is our D coordinator. Now, Aaron Johnson always had the title of D coordinator, but as everybody knows, Flus made all the calls on defense. He did not. So, we have all new coaches from 1 week ago to now. So we don't even know what's going to happen in this game, right? But watching San Francisco the last couple weeks, and now that they've lost McCaffrey for the rest of the year, and they had some Bosa did not participate. Some of their great offensive. That's why, and some of their receivers. I know Debo's been banged up, and I believe Kittle. That's why he's got so many receiving yards and touchdowns, is because he's been very reliable. He is wonderful, and he's an older dude, but he just comes and plays, and Kittle he loves football. He's like a kid, but we gotta stop Kittle. For sure. The defense. So we'll start with the defense. That defensive line has got to start stepping up. I'd like to see Swift get some more. He's not even leading the team on sacks. Dexter Jr. is. He's leading the team on sacks. So I want to see some sacks this week. The frustration you've heard from everybody. All right, we'll put that on the field and show it in your playing. So we have got to go after Purdy. Purdy will turn the ball over. He will fumble. He'll do anything. You got to get after him. That has got to be the thing. We got to stop the run with whatever running game they will have. We got to do that. And, we can't let any big passes happen. And I hope that we're going to play a little more tighter now that Flus is gone, because sometimes I've seen in the last few games, we're giving yards away. We're giving 10, 15 free yards away on plays. There's no call for it. So let's see what Eric Johnson decides to do with the defense. But you got to come after Purdy. I'm telling you, it's important. You do it. He's going to make mistakes. I want to see in this game, 4 sacks and 2 turnovers from our defense. That's what I'm calling for. And that's the way to stand up and say, okay, Bear fans, we're back and we're happy now because, the big problem is gone and we're going to show you what we got. So defense has got to do that. Offense, obviously, that offensive line has got to do the best they can. Their defense, San Francisco, is pretty beat up, so we're not playing the San Francisco defense we should be, but they're still good, and it's in San Francisco. So that line has got to play 100%. You do your job, you play 100%, no penalties, and you protect Cabe. You got to get the running game going. Now, Johnson, and so what's the third guy's name? I can't even think of his name. Shucks. But the third guy, he'll probably be in there. I mean, we don't know if Swift's going to be in there, right? I'm thinking he will, but we don't. But I'm pretty sure Johnson's out. So we're hurting in the running game. So they got to do anything they can to get that going. The offense, maybe the offensive coordinator, Chris Bailey, maybe he can do a lot of shorter passes. Like 10-yard passes is like a good run. You know what I mean? That's where Cole Clement can come in. Cole Clement, you use Allen for that. Use anybody you can to get those first downs. If you can't get that run game going because we don't have the talent on the field, then you're going to have to do it in the air. But you don't have to look for bombs. But you use these guys and just use them. They're like good running. So use them. Use the short passes. Take what they give you. But I also want to see in this game, I want to see a couple bombs thrown. I want to test them. And I want to see what we can get with Cabe. But if Cabe don't have the time, because the offensive line can't give it to him, then he can't do it. So, I've been saying this every damn week. It's on the offensive line and, of course, running game and, of course, Cabe. Cabe has got to be smart. He's got to get better on those sacks. Some of them are not him. We know that. Every game, I would say it's like almost 50, maybe 60-40, 60 on the offensive line, 40 on Cabe, because there's a few he's taken and he shouldn't, but he's got to learn, and that's something he's going to learn. Don't turn the ball over. You've been very, very good about that. So just have your head in the game and take what San Francisco gives you. And our receivers, I say this all the time too, help your quarterback out. Watch what's going on. When he starts running around, get off of your defender and be available for him. Good teams do this time and time and again. You're way out there, you see him running around, come on in a little bit. Wave, I'm free. Do whatever you can to help this kid out. It is a team effort, especially now with the lack of offensive line and this and that, and a new, we have a new offense now. And so the receivers really got to help Cabe out. Okay, so we know what has to be done. Air free, no penalties, no turnovers, and get after the San Francisco quarterback. We're going to come away with a win. Okay? So I was reading some of this stuff, how much it's changed. So as I said, Chris Bailey will be taking on, this is what he's doing. He's taking on the heightened role with the game management. He is going to, I said he was the OC. Well, I guess he's not really the OC because Thomas Brown is the OC, but this is his right-hand man. So he is going to be in charge of watching the clock. He's going to be in charge of the receivers, and he was the receivers coach. Now they did officially call him the offensive coordinator, so I was right. God, Lynn. Duh. So he is the offensive coach. He was the receivers coach. Now he's the offensive coordinator, but the most responsible thing they said he's going to be doing is watching the clock. He's going to take greater responsibility, and he's going to help Brown, and he's going to be his right-hand man and tell him what's going on, and then he can make decisions. But they mentioned many a time the clock management duties because that costs us so many games. So, and then Eric Washington will now be officially the D coordinator, and he'll be calling himself. He's, there's no floose there now. So you got Chris and you got Eric. Chris, like I said, he's Thomas Brown is going to be very involved in the offense, but Chris, he's going to be helping him. This is what's going on, coach. And then, they said, number one, he's paying attention to that clock. So, right, we'll see, right, what happens there. But, so, we'll see. These guys, we're going in week 13, right? Isn't it? Yeah, because I forget. And we have all new coaches. How weird is that? This is like a start of a new season with all three new coaches. They've been on the team, but they're all in new roles. Brown is head coach. Who did I say? And then Chris is offensive coordinator, and Eric Washington is D coordinator. So it really is starting all over, and we're in the 13th week. Only the Chicago Bears. I say this all the time. We're all so mad And, we all looked forward to this season so much. After last season, we're like, and we got a quarterback. But again, people, we have a quarterback. We just need to get through this season, hire somebody who's going to really, and you know what? I want to be one of those teams that has a quarterback for 10 years and goes to the Super Bowl and goes to the playoffs every year and at least wins one Super Bowl. I'm getting old. I want to see a Super Bowl win before I die. I want to see it with my son and my grandsons. So that, I can't wait much longer, people. The clock is ticking. Tick, 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 tick. But we just got to get through. Let's see what happens. Next year, we've got a lot of talk about. I mean, I could go into so much about what I think we should do, but I'm not going to do that yet because we're still into the season. And we don't know what we're going to see Sunday at all. This is almost like the first game of the season when we go into, you have a camp and they do all that, and you never get a good idea, even in the preseason games, because they're playing, two, second, third string people. They're trying out plays. So you never know that first game what your team's seriously going to look like. And that's what I think is going to happen on Sunday. We're going to be like, okay, let's see what happens, right? I don't know. But I sure as hell would love a win. And I'm telling you, this team needs a victory because it's 6 games we've lost in a row. Yes. And that's not acceptable. I mean, it's just not. And you know what? It's all on Flus, in my opinion. Flus and the McCaskies. And I'm just hoping that Warren is a man of his word and steps up. And he takes charge and makes sure he makes the last decision. I don't want Poles making that decision. I just don't. I want Warren because I kind of believed in what he was saying, but then, you know what? They're all kind of politicians anyways, right? We all know that. And so let's see. But so I'm going to call for a victory. How brazen is that? Lynn's calling for a victory, which I normally don't say, but I said I want 4 sacks, 2 turnovers, and I want a victory. Because on Monday, I want to sing the victory song. You want to hear it. Anyway, so Bears fans, we got to stick together these last few weeks. What I would really love more than anything, no matter what happens until the last game, I am hoping this would save the season for me, but that's just me, because I have such hatred for Green Bay, and I was so glad that Detroit beat them last night. And it was a pretty damn good game, but Detroit beat them. I would love nothing more. We play Green Bay in Green Bay, the last game of the season. I'd love nothing more for the Bears to beat Green Bay and knock them out of the playoffs. Wouldn't that be great? I like Detroit, although they're horribly blinged up. I wasn't that impressed with them last night. They can score points, but their defense was not playing well. And I had them going to the Super Bowl, but if they don't clean up that defense, I don't know. But anyways, we don't need to talk about that. But I would love nothing more to be spoilers for some of these teams, right? So that would be fun. That's about all we got, people. Really, okay? So, and people, Thomas Brown, I wish him luck on this Sunday. And people, maybe he'll be the next. Everybody pump your brakes on who's going to be our next head coach. Let's get through the season. And then we'll go from there. So let's just get a victory on Sunday. Everybody put on your lucky gear, like I always say, and sit in front of that TV and root our Chicago Bears onto a much, much needed victory for them and for us. Because us fans, Warren said, we're the best fans in the country. All teams say that. But we are the best fans. We are so loyal. So go Bears. And as always, please, I always sign my show off, please love one another. Respect people. Stop hate. Be kind. There's nothing more than being kind. It's so easy. Smile at somebody when you're out and about. They could be, you never know what's going on in their lives. And smiles can make people feel better. And any little thing you can do if you see somebody struggling, help them. right? This is the time of year that everybody's in a good mood and everybody's happy and everybody's given to charities and this and that. Why can't we do that the other 11 months of the year? Why can't it be Christmas all the time? Wouldn't that be great? Just think about it for me. And again, thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I got so many more subscribers after I was called out by Greg on Shigo. And although he said I was going to be on his show, I think he was pulling my leg on that. I don't think I'm going to be on that show. But that's okay, because I don't care. But I do appreciate everybody who, and this is my famous thing, turns me on. And on that note, go Bears! I want a victory Monday and keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby.